Welcome to Democracy 2.0 with Wayne Bouchard, who's not related to the tennis player that's Bouchard. Where you're listening to us on malcolmpresents.com, a streaming service that takes you into a new world of shows that are not seen any other place in this world or other worlds. Anyway, welcome, Wayne.
Good afternoon, Malcolm. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. It's not raining here. I'm in Los Angeles, and it predicted rain the whole day, and the skies are brightening up. So I'm anxious to get, finish our show, put it on, and then go out and do my walking.
Okay. So to start things off today, you know what today is?
Today is April 30th.
Well, first of all, it's March 30th.
March 30th. I'm jumping ahead. Excuse me. It's March 30th.
You're ahead by a month. And let's see here.
Can I have this edited out? I guess I can, but
today is March 30th, and today is opening day of Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah. Did that always start this early?
Yeah. Yep. So I thought that somebody's trying to get a hold of me here. I thought that I would look at a few scores here.
Okay, let's give the latest rundown.
Let's see. The Red Sox are losing. My Red Sox are losing to Baltimore 10-7, top of the ninth inning. Let's see. The Yankees won 5-0. They beat the Giants.
That's good. So far, I'm liking it.
That's not good. That's not good because we don't like the Yankees.
I don't like the Red Sox. I don't like any teams in Boston.
The Pirates and the Reds are tied, and the Twins and the Orioles and the Royals are tied, and the Phillies are ahead of the Rangers 4-0. So that's it for baseball.
I couldn't. The only ones I care about is the Boston losing. I think they should lose 160. What's 162 game the schedule?
I have no idea. I'm a Red Sox fan, so
I wouldn't mind if they lost it. I don't like them, and same way for I hate the Boston Celtics. I hate the Boston Bruins. It being an ex-New Yorker, forget about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I grew up on the Connecticut, Massachusetts border, so.
Oh, okay.
It was, and the short version of the story is we were Dodger fans. When they moved to LA, you could not switch your allegiance from the Dodgers to the Yankees. And the Mets weren't around yet, so we went to the Red Sox. That was what my dad did.
Actually, I still follow the Dodgers. I was from Brooklyn, so I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. Oh, the other ones that I hate is the Giants.
There you go.
I hated them from New York to San Francisco.
There are still people in New York that refer to the Giants, the New York Football Giants, as to differentiate them from the old baseball Giants, because the New York Giants were at one time a baseball team in New York, and they played in the Polo Grounds in Harlem.
Right. Well, actually, they were across the Harlem River from Yankee Stadium. If you know anything, that
yes, correct.
You could see Yankee Stadium from the Polo Grounds and vice versa.
Right.
And the only reason they moved is because the Dodgers moved.
That could be.
No, it was because the Dodgers probably would not have gotten the clearance to move out of New York if the Giants didn't go with them, because otherwise it would be too far for the teams to travel to have games. Because the closest team, I think, was maybe in Chicago.
Yeah, but the Dodgers were in the Dodgers in the National League, and the Giants are in the American League.
No, they were both in the National League.
Okay.
But now it doesn't make any difference, which I still don't know, is the American League and the National League play each other.
Correct. So I got a little bit of quiz. I got a little quiz for you today. We're going to switch gears, and we're going to go from Major League Baseball to something serious.
A Major League Baseball is serious. It's the American game.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
my favorite sport is hockey, so we'll just leave it there.
I never got into hockey.
So there are some things today that didn't kill any kids. You know what those things are?
No school.
No, there wasn't a single book that was read in this country today that killed a kid. No kids were killed by drag queens, and no kids were killed by pronouns.
That was
So we have a society, that claims that they're all about protecting children. We have these politicians that children's safety at all costs is what they talk about. But what are they protecting them from? They're protecting them from reading books about racism and slavery. Is that protecting them? They protect them from reading about the history of our country and how we treated, Native American children in our wonderful, glorious Indian schools. Is that protecting them? And of course, we have all these politicians that they're hell bent on protecting kids from drag queens and transvestites, gays and lesbians, and I think that the worst thing that they try to protect them against is transgender people.
Oh,
God only knows that's and all these, we're all aware that there's significant scientific evidence that proves that, that all of these conditions can be transmitted through thin air, just like COVID, and contaminate our children. So we have to keep them away from all those people.
Well,
God forbid that we should allow one kid to ask another kid what pronoun they prefer, because they might get some sort of affliction from that.
Well, we were pronoun conscious years ago when there used to be mailmen versus letter carriers. There used to be policemen instead of I don't know what they call them. Policemen, policewomen. They differentiated. There used to be actor and actresses.
Right.
Ain't no longer.
So we're hell bent on protecting these kids from all this stuff. So rather than have them hang out with some drag queen, let's let them play with AR-15s.
Well, yeah.
Obviously, that's a less lethal thing than hanging out with a drag queen, or God forbid that they should have a book that studies something like critical race theory.
I'm surprised they let the Civil War in the books. Or do they?
I don't know. There was a principal of a school in Florida. It was a charter school. Did you hear about this guy?
Tell me more.
He was forced to resign following a whole bunch of complaints because sixth grade students. Now, how old are sixth grade students?
About 12.
12.
You start at school at first grade at 6.
And 12-year-olds all have cell phones, right?
Everybody has cell phones now.
So he was this principal was they had a class in I don't even know what the class was in, but one of the pictures in this class was Michelangelo's David, and the parents.
That's pornography.
Well, I'm telling you, 12-year-old kids with cell phones are watching pornography hell of a lot worse than Michelangelo's David on a daily basis.
Well, I think it was because if David, it would be okay if David had an erection. But since he was sort of not erect, they said, "Oh, look at that! It's a small penis."
Oh well. So on the serious side of things, we've got we've got these crazy politicians who think that all this stuff is really important, and to limit the use of assault weapons is an infringement upon their Second Amendment rights.
Right. That's only minor. Well, the thing was, if you taught the elementary school kids to use assault weapons, or at 6, 7 years old, the thing would never happen because they would all be armed.
Mm-hmm.
And someone comes into school, like this woman, this 28-year-old woman, they'd kill her.
Hey,
Don't have a chance.
Don't give them any ideas. I would I would like to challenge some of these guys. What does the Second Amendment say?
Well, you're the one on that. You told me that a few shows ago.
The Second Amendment states verbatim, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. And of course, the debate comes about, what is the definition of, or what is the difference between a militia, like the National Guard, and the right of the individual to bear arms? I think that, anyone who has a desire to own some sort of a handgun or a rifle has a perfect right to it. And if they want to hunt, they have a right to it. But, assault weapons are not meant to hunt deer or, grouse or pheasant or anything else like that. An assault rifle is designed to kill the enemy, period.
Yeah, it's a weapon for combat.
Yes, it's a combat.
Well, several things. Number one, don't see why assault weapons are legal. Number two, I could see you owning a gun, but have a background check. Do your due diligence. It'd be like, anything you have a license for. If you want to drive a car, you have to get a license. You have to be tested.
Correct.
If you want to own a gun or an assault weapon, or, well, not assault weapon, if you want to own a gun, it should be tested. You know how to use a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how to use a rifle. In order to get a license, you have to go out in a range with a qualified instructor and show that you know how to use it. After you qualify that, you're not crazy. Right. Number two, I have to renew my license every 5 years. You should be required to renew your gun permit every 5 years. I mean, and not only showing how to shoot, but also that during that period, you haven't been put in a mental institution or you haven't, killed anybody.
You have to have a license to hunt. You have to have a license to fish. It's not
like a license for everything.
Yes.
And you have to qualify.
No, you can make babies without having a license.
No, well, it used to be. You were supposed to have a license. It was known as a marriage certificate.
Yeah, but today it's a little different than that. So,
well, you can make baby.
I don't know where it all ends, Malcolm. I really don't, because, and the thing that really galled me, this really, really upset me, is that there were a few politicians that were trying to make a case for the fact that this young woman who killed these 6 people was a transgender person. And that was the reason if we didn't have all these problems with transgender issues, we wouldn't have any more casualties of mass murders.
Was she? I don't know that much about her. Was she transgender?
Apparently, she was. Apparently,
Apparently.
yeah. And of course, how about all the lunatics that have killed hundreds and hundreds of people that weren't transgender?
No, they pick on the wrong thing.
My God, they're.
I mean, they're right. The people, guns don't kill people. People kill people. But if the people didn't have the guns, they couldn't kill the people without guns.
Correct.
And we, I think, we own more guns than there are people in the United States. There are more guns.
Yes, we have more guns than any other people.
And then they say, certain states have strict rules about guns, and there's a lot of violence in those states. But of course, because all you have to do is go over the border with a gun from another state where it's legal. And I mean, instead of concentrating on transgender and being woke or not woke, I'm still not even sure what woke means.
Well, you know where the term woke came from? Did I mention this to you?
Probably, but I don't remember.
The term woke is derived from an old blues song that was sung by Leadbelly back in the 1930s, and it was probably because he wanted it to rhyme or whatever, and it was about a hanging of a bunch of innocent black guys. That's where the term came from. That's where it originally was derived from, was from that old blues song.
So woke means hanging, lynching of black people?
That's where, it was in that song.
Oh.
The term woke, because it's not a word. And then it became used as a black slang term. And then these politicians picked up on it.
No, I thought it was, what time did you get up? And they say, I woke at 1 o'clock.
The correct, there's no such word. It's awoke.
Well, no, unless you speak a slang. I woke.
Yeah, right. It's slang.
Well, no, actually, there is a word. I woke up.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. But in this case, it was a black blues term used in a song, and then it became a black slang term, to mean that you were a woke person, you were someone who had some coolness about you.
I just wonder why everybody don't wonder. I know, more or less I know why. These politicians, they talk about all these things that really are not that important, but what they do is they can't seem to put any legislation. I'm not talking about whether it's Democratic or Republican or whether they're liberal or conservative. They can't put a legislation project together. They can't do anything to help inflation. They both yell at each other. They can't do anything to correct immigration. They just call each other names. They can't do anything about the killing, the gun control. They just call each other names.
They stopped a bunch of these politicians in the Capitol the other day, and they asked them, and the politician said, "We don't want to make this political." Well, it is political. You made it political by attaching the right to bear arms as the issue at hand. And that's a political issue that, the courts have just bungled, in my opinion, a clear-cut definition. Anyone who has the IQ of a gerbil that thinks that people should be allowed to walk down the street with an AR-15 or an AK-47 is out of their mind. that should be illegal.
It should be, but it's not.
And do you know that machine guns and flamethrowers are legal in some states? Legal for a civilian to own a flamethrower or a machine gun, in my humble opinion, is just unconscionable.
Well, I know if it was legal in California, I'd buy one. I'd buy two I'd buy four for me, my wife, and two kids. I mean, my kids are in their 20s.
Yeah, well,
especially a flamethrower. I mean, that really.
Hey, you know what? A flamethrower would be a hell of a. I have a brick sidewalk coming across the whole front of the house and across the whole back of the house, and then up in the back of the to the studio. And weeds grow in between those bricks. And you have to get down there, and you have to get down on your hands and knees with a thing like a screwdriver and spray.
Yeah, but a flamethrower would do it.
A flamethrower would just kill them. It'd be beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, I myself, I don't know. A bazooka's legal?
Probably. I have to look that up. I'll make
I mean, that's a cool way of shooting. Put it on your shoulder. I see all these.
I'll make a note of
World War II movies.
Well, bazookas a bubble gun, right?
Yeah. That you talk about that. I'm back to my 10, 11 years old with the bazooka and the baseball cards.
Bazooka and the baseball cards, and you didn't know much about transvestites, but you sure as hell knew a lot about Playboy magazines, and we didn't have cell phones back then, so we didn't have access to porn.
You're much older than I am, of course.
Of course.
But you told me about Playboy magazine. Yeah, all women had large bosoms and no pubic hair. Don't you know that?
Well,
I mean, no okay. When is the first time you saw pubic hair on a woman? Never mind.
I could tell you exactly when it was when we drilled holes in the changing houses, the bathhouses at the beaches, and we stood outside and peeked in through these peepholes and watched them change.
We used to, as you know, I was raised in Coney Island, and they had these bathhouses, and there were these wooden separations, from the street to the bathhouse, and we always saw these naked women. Of course, the naked women that we saw are probably were in the 60s and 70s. and they had to take their breasts and sling it over their shoulder, otherwise they trip on them.
On that note, we better change subjects or we're going to get flagged.
Okay. Now, the thing that I want to know, are we going to have another 4 years or 3 years of listening to Trump?
Yes. Well, maybe he will drop out after he loses a couple of primaries. I don't know.
I hope he does, but I don't underestimate him. I mean, the problem is people have always been underestimating him. I remember when he first announced that he was going to run for president, run for the primary. I thought it was a total joke. Who would vote for him? Then when he won the primary, I said, oh, that's great. Hillary should win in a landslide. And then when he won the presidency, I said, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Now it's the same thing. In 2020, he lost. And everybody said, that's the end of Donald Trump. No more.
Nope.
Now, all of a sudden, he's a leading candidate for the Republican nomination.
Yes, he is. He is the leading candidate. Did you see where I love these revelations that have come out by the lawsuit of Fox News and what's that?
Dominion voting machine.
Dominion voting machines. The head of Fox News service apparently sent out an email or a tweet or something that stated that we have to stop fact-checking Trump's statements because it's bad for business.
Well, that's part of it.
She didn't want anybody fact checking.
Well, Rupert Murdoch is the owner of Fox, the entire, not only Fox News, Fox everything.
Right.
And he totally admitted that they were knocking or they were giving validation to Trump losing the election because his audience did not like the fact that Trump lost. As a matter of fact, I think they lost subscribers when they declared that Trump won Biden won the election.
Biden won in Arizona. They only called Arizona. Right. That was it. That was their.
But even at the end, they didn't come out and say it's a fixed rigged election. It's a rigged election. Right. We cannot declare anybody winner. We have to have the recount first.
Correct.
But it's funny. It's only states that Trump lost that it was rigged, and states that Trump won, they didn't say it was rigged.
Funny about that, isn't it?
Yeah. But are we going to go through that same period? Because I heard Trump yesterday, and he was talking about how he posed with a baseball bat. And supposedly the next picture aside from him was Bragg, who was the district attorney in New York, who was heading this grand jury. But according to him, he claimed he said it wasn't him. He had the baseball bat because this was a baseball bat that he had took a picture with because it was made in the USA. And somehow they transposed a picture of Bragg with him, or not with him, but opposite him. He said he didn't do that, or his people didn't do that.
So who did?
He doesn't know. It was someone that's probably anti-Trump. And that the other thing that he said,
are any of those people around anti-Trump?
If he's indicted, there's going to be death and destruction.
Yeah.
Now, to me, yeah, sort of that's almost inciting a riot. If they take me in, you're going to lose America.
That's similar to what he said on January 6th,
right?
When he said, we're going to go down to the Capitol, and I don't remember exactly what he said.
Well, it was almost like take back our country.
We're going to take back our country. Correct.
Yeah, it sounds like there should be a revolution, and these revolutionaries are right. I mean, they're only patriotic Americans, and that's what a lot of the people said who stormed the Capitol. They said we were listening to our leader, Donald Jonathan Trump.
Is that his middle name, Jonathan?
I think it was Jonathan, isn't it?
I don't know.
Or I don't know, John. I think I don't have my phone on me. I can't check. Everything I do now it's funny the how much influence Google has.
Oh yeah.
And every time I don't know the answer to a question, I Google it. And if Google doesn't have the answer, I get angry at them.
Right.
Or if I can't find it.
I told you the story of I asked Siri a question one day, and I got really totally disjointed answer back. And so I asked Alexa the same question, and I got back a perfect answer that was correct. So I then told Siri that, she was a dumbass and that Alexa was smarter than she was. And Siri took offense to that. Didn't like that at all. Didn't like being compared. So what else? What else do we need to talk about today?
No, it's frightening. Just going back to that, it's the AI, artificial intelligence.
Oh yes.
And soon your computer is going to talk back to you. If it doesn't like your attitude, doesn't like the questions, or doesn't like what you're researching, it'll say, Wayne, why the hell are you researching this? You know it's wrong.
I have been told already by Siri that she didn't like my attitude.
Yeah. It's like I forget the 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think the computer was HAL.
HAL, and you know what HAL was? HAL is one letter difference from IBM.
Oh, really?
It's the letter before. I is H, B is A, and L was the letter before M.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Hal.
yeah, Hal started having his own attitude.
Yeah, you'd think that what's that guy that wrote that?
I'm not
Is it
sure, but I know it's, I think, I saw it like in 1967, 68, and thought, wow, 2001. Yeah,
was
what's
that
going to the
Stanley
world be
Kubrick?
like?
Stanley
Who,
Kubrick?
who did you say?
Stanley Kubrick.
Well, he didn't write it. He might have directed it.
Huh. Hey Siri, who wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey? Now, see, she's giving me information about the Torah
The Torah?
on YouTube. Who wrote
Oh,
the
I know
Bible?
I know who wrote the Torah. I mean, you might not, because you're not one of the tribe. You're not one of us. But I'm sure that
On that note, we should end.
actually
Are
we
we
have to
done
end.
yet?
We're the end of time, and we spoke about absolutely nothing.
Well, I think we covered a couple of points that were
No,
worthwhile.
we covered a good point. We covered points that the world is all screwed, and that our politicians, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to do about it. As we spoke about it last week and the week before, I mean, short of an armed revolution, which then as a militia I could be armed, I don't know how we could take over the government. Other thing that I wanted to talk about also, which we probably do next week, is what's happening in Israel, and how
Yeah, that's it. Very interesting. Very
right,
interesting.
and how the Netanyahu, wants to weaken the court systems,
Yeah.
and wants to put it more the control of politicians. And sometimes I wonder whether we should be doing something like that here. But anyway, the Israelis, it's almost started a revolution,
Yes.
and he had to suppress. He had to stop the vote in the Knesset, which is their Congress, till after the holidays. Which, if you don't know, the holidays are Passover, which starts,
Right.
which is an 8-day festival starting April 5th. And and Passover is when Moses took the children of Israel out of Egypt and took them to the
Mhm.
promised land.
Right.
But I didn't learn that. I didn't learn till I was older that Moses never stepped into Israel. He
Really.
stopped before.
Hmm.
And a lot of Jewish folks are very angry at Moses. Why? Because if he went 10, 15 miles or more, he would be in the land of oil. They would have been rich. But no, he stopped short of it. And they got, as I say in Yiddish, they got surus. They got problems. Anyway, under that note,
There we go. That's a good note to end on.
you have, oh, by the way, do me a favor, ask your wife how we could insert different things in our show. Because I know we could. There's a way, because she did it once with me when we were doing Many Shades or Green Divas, that she was able to insert clips, which we might be able to do that, like with the when we talk about Trump or other things.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
Check it out, because I think we have to be more. I have people looking at the show, they liked it, but you say you have to be more visual. Of course, we're in a visual medium. Anyway, have a good
Okay.
week.
All right. You too.
Happy April Fool's Day.
Yes. Okay.
It's another 2 days, and I'll see you next week, kid.
All right. Take care.
Bye.